Don't you hate wrestling with predictability? The garbage man, the sexy boy, boring ass TV? How did I get to work in here? Somebody tell me, please. The WWF is confusing to me. With Vince as mean as you've ever seen. I told old Patterson I'm done here in June. When a sudden voice inside me whispered, Vinny, don't sell your dream so soon. And everywhere I look, there's a Ted with a hand to hold on to. And everywhere I look, there's a place and a promotion who needs you. And it's there you'll book when you're lost out there and you're all alone. And WCW's waiting to carry you home. It's there you'll book. And it's there I'll book. A doobity-ba-ba-ba, headed to Atlanta and listen to this podcast. It's all right, even though it fucking makes fun of everything I've ever done. Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome back to episode 32 of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? As always, I'm Scott Shiflett, and joining me, thankfully, as he has for the last 32 episodes, he's still here. Logan Crossland. You hear him on every podcast, but Logan, how you doing, buddy?
That's almost true, at least. But yeah, you remember that hope we had last time? Yeah. Maybe not so much anymore. Maybe from your end. I wasn't quite as downtrodden about this episode, but I'm sure we'll get into the reasons why.
Oh, yeah. There's many reasons why, like you said, we'll get into them, but like it's obvious watching this, Logan, that we have two different like ideas of what WCW should be. Like Russo wants to book them like it's WWF, and Bischoff wants more of like NWO, Four Horsemen of the 80s. That's the way I feel. It's like two different ideologies like running into each other. And we see that multiple times tonight where it's like, are the New Bloods supposed to be the bad guys or the good guys? And it's like no one knows. And when everyone's a shade of gray, that's not good. It's not like, you know, WWF and everyone's like shades of gray when it's like, no, Austin was the baby face. Like, he was the virtuous one. Like, we got DDP here who's like, oh, supposed to be the lead baby face, but like he's kind of being a dick to his wife. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously Bischoff's the heel, so is I guess Russo, but like Shane, they talk about Shane Douglas being held down by Flair, so it's like, should we be cheering for Flair? And yeah, just very interesting, but we'll get into it. But let's start off the show. It's April 12th, 2000. We're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So they stayed close because Monday Nitro took place in Denver. And I think they must have recorded this on Tuesday, Logan, because there's multiple times when the wrestlers are like, last night we did this when the show's supposed to drop on Wednesday.
Yeah, I heard Bischoff say that, and I was like, I think he fucked up.
Yeah, so it's like, good job, buddy. But, you know, he'd been away a couple months. I'll let it slide. Mm-hmm. So Show starts off with highlights of Monday of Russo and Bischoff coming together, all titles being stripped. Thankfully, they left out the scissors comment when they showed Bischoff taking the title from Sid. Then we saw the mini tournament for the Millionaires side with DDP winning. And then we saw the Hogan, Kidman, Bischoff show long segment. Kurt Hennig versus Jeff Jarrett with the debut of Sean Stasiak. They did not show his botch Logan, thankfully. Then they showed Shane showing up, Kevin Nash and Mike Awesome, Hogan getting hit by the white Hummer, Vampiro turning on Sting, Jarrett hitting Kimberly, and Brett showing up. And this was all the first 30 seconds. So it's like, holy shit, like information overload here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they showed the entire episode in clip form. So like, if you missed Nitro, you didn't miss Nitro because you could have watched this and you would have learned everything that happened. Which is good,
that
but
is 100%
like, it's kind
true.
of absurd. It's kind of absurd at the same time.
Yeah, it really is. So we see Bischoff and Russo showing up to the arena earlier today. The sound is shit. It sounds like Russo said, "Let's fire this guy," but couldn't really make it out. Then we have the Thunder intro, and they actually got a new stage with like I guess they call these the Turnertrons instead of the Titantrons. So we got a new stage. Tony welcomes us in and says this is a new era. We see David Arquette in the front row, and he has a Nitro shirt on. It's like we couldn't even get him like a DDP Bang T-shirt or something. Bischoff comes out, and yeah, exactly. It's like just go grab a shirt. Eric Bischoff comes out with members of the New Blood. The members are Kidman, Buff, Cat, Scott Steiner, Shane Douglas, Vampiro, Booker T, and Wall. Now I think this is good, Logan, because like it shows who we want to push in the New Blood. And I think this is a solid core because me and you have been big fans of the Wall. We like Kidman, Buff and Cat, meh. Scott Steiner, Shane Douglas, and Vampiro, hasn't been too bad. So if they basically just cut out Buff and Cat and have like Scott Steiner be the, the main person, or I guess Jeff Jarrett, even though he's not out there, just have Jeff Jarrett be like the, like the Triple H and Evolution, the Ric Flair and or the Jeff Jarrett and Planet Jarrett if you want to even go to TNA route and give Logan nightmares.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So this is where we talk about Bischoff getting his nights confused because he says, "Oh, what a night it was last night." Says Nitro was what it was supposed to be. Eric says classic screw jobs. Eric says Billy had a hell of a night. Billy says, "Hey, I'm the flea market champion. The flea market champion 3, Hogan 0. Billy yells at the crowd and says New Blood has Hogan's old blood all over their hands. Then Russo comes out and he gets on the mic and says, "By roar of the crowd, it almost sounds like New York, but it isn't because this town sucks." Just fucking horrible. But he said, "What kind of person lives in Colorado Springs?" John Denver. That was more of a statement than a question. Russo says Ric Flair, and you people learned 2 things about Russo on Monday. 1, I am the Batman. And 2, New Yorkers have no respect for no one. So he's trying to be like ultra heel. Like it's just ridiculous. But Russo says when all is said and done, with the help of the franchise, Ric Flair will be his New York bitch. Douglas then gets on the mic and says for 7 years he's called him out and he finally took the bait. Shane says Flair is about to get franchised because Shane will retire his raggedy ass. Eric talks about Spring Stampede and says that tonight Jeff has the night off and so does DDP. But Eric then says Kimberly is the best talent in the world, so he will have her wrestle Medusa. And then Eric says, "Well, you've seen Kimberly in Playboy, and I have." And that's where he just ends. And then he says, "DDP, no matter what happens, I want you to think positive." DDP comes out. He calls Bischoff a monkey. He says, "I don't know what the hell problem you got with me." Then he calls Eric a silverback because of his hair. DDP then says he wants a match with Eric tonight, Sleazy E versus DDP. DDP says he wants to kick his ass from one side of the ring to another. Eric says no, but says it'll be fun to see what stripper outfit Kimberly will wear. Which, I'm like, goddamn. DDP starts walking the ring, and then Bam Bam jumps DDP and throws him in the ring. Then the Millionaires Club runs down, and we got a brawl to start off the night. It's how Nitro ended. Security tries to break it up, but can't break them up, and Bischoff and Russo go up the ramp. And Logan, I really thought when they were going up the ramp, they were going to run into either Hogan or Bret Hart, but that sadly was not the case. So it looks like Bam Bam's. It looks like the Millionaires Club is just like 6 people. So it's like, how are we supposed to boo these guys? But we're getting it all set up for everything. We got our feuds that we have. It looks like it's just Shane Douglas and Vince for Russo versus Ric Flair, not Scott Steiner, how they were sort of making it. But we got Easy E trying to be the smarmy ass heel, and then we got Russo trying to be like, my balls are this big, fucking kind of heel, and it's like, dude, fuck you, like just fuck you.
Yeah, the fact that like Shane Douglas and Bam Bam Bigelow are in the new blood, considering that Bam Bam's been around since like the early or like the mid to late 80s, and Shane's probably been around just as long. He was in WWE in like 91 or something like that, and I think he was in WCW before that. So the fact that they're new blood is pretty hilarious. But yeah, I mean, the numbers game is way out of whack on this one because, like you said, there's only like 6 Millionaires Clubs guy, and the rest of the entire roster are seemingly on the new blood side. Which I would love to see some of the new blood guys get pushed instead of those Millionaires Clubs guys. But I think the ultimate problem with all of it is those guys are over, and not necessarily a lot of the new blood guys are. So. But the segment dragged a little bit. It wasn't the best, but it does get the new blood continue to be established, and like who are going to be the main players, like you said. But yeah, just maybe it dragged on a little bit too long.
Yeah, it was like, I know we're trying to get like, oh, here's who's going to feud with each other, and that's good because like it's setting these guys up, but then these guys have to win. And as we see, like, spoiler alert, with how Hogan basically treats Kidman like he's an 80s jobber, it doesn't do anything for Kidman. So, yeah. You got to be able to do it as well. So, like, do the work to put the guy over, like Sting and Vampiro, sort of, but that was a dumb gimmick involved, which, let's just say Great American Bash, when my parents looked at me and said, we aren't ordering the shit anymore for you. So that was the last WCW pay-per-view I got. Yeah, I can even, I was downstairs in my old house and they looked me in the eye and told me that. I was like, word, all right. I don't know how much I want to watch of it, but here we are.
Probably not a bad financial decision by the Shiflett parents.
Yeah. So correct. So we have a commercial break and we come back and we're at that's what Russo loves, is he loves having the announcers say what's going on. So Tony goes over what will happen for Sunday and for tonight as well. He says for the Cruiserweight title, we're going to have a suicide 6-man where 2 men start off and the other 4 are at every ring post. I don't know if this is elimination. They didn't really say. Let's be real. They probably don't fucking know either. But he did say that the 6 men that will compete in that title match will have a 3-on-3 match tonight. And then for the tag titles, a mini tournament will happen with the 4 teams being Harlem Heat, the Mamalukes, Buff and Shane, and Team Package. And there'll be some warm-up singles matches tonight, which if you're not a member of the Mamalukes or Harlem Heat, you should be concerned, as it's just Flair versus Buff and Shane versus Lex. And then for the U.S. title, we're going to have a mini tournament of 6 people, but there's a chance that Sting and Sid will be in the tournament if they can survive their matches tonight. And for the hardcore title, Tony says we will explain later, which after being explained what it was, I was like, Jesus. So we then pan to the match in the ring. It's Crowbar, Lash, and Shannon Moore, who all get the jobber entrance, I say, versus Chris Candido, Hoovy, and Taff Cappy. So keep in mind who's on teams here, guys. Crowbar, Lash, and Shannon Moore versus Chris Candido, Hoovy, and Taff Cappy. Because like this just nonsensical booking starts from the jump here. So Lash and Crowbar jump Taff Cappy and throw him around. Shannon drop kicks him as well. None of the partners are getting along. Chris actually caught Lash and power bombs him, which I thought was pretty nice. David starts flirting with Paisley, and Daphne pulls him away literally by the crowbar. the weapon, not the actual wrestler, on his nuts. Hoovy jumps in the ring, then hits Shannon, but it's almost like a botch. Like Shannon wasn't in the spot because like he jumped on the ropes and then just jumped down and then just went over and started punching him. We get 10 punches in the corner. Shannon gets a knee to the gut and hits a famouser. Tag to Crowbar and Hoovy punches him. Hoovy then gets hit with a bridge suplex by Crowbar and gets 2. Crowbar chops Hoovy twice, and then Hoovy gets a head scissors to the outside. David and Crowbar start fighting on the outside. And then Chris dives off the top rope to Crowbar and David Flair. Then Taff Cappy hits a baseball slide on Chris. Keep in mind they're teammates. Then Lash does a dive to all 3 on the outside. Hoovy then dives on everyone on the outside. Shannon then hits the springboard moonsault, and everyone starts fighting. Shannon and Crowbar are fighting. I'm in parentheses, same team. David and Shane Helms are fighting because Shane Helms on the side. Daphne then hits a Frankensteiner on Shane Helms. Somehow they got in the ring for all this. I don't know either. Crowbar and Hoovy are fighting. Hoovy just drops Crowbar on his head, like right on his head. And then Chris breaks up the pin and they fight. They're on the same team. Chris and Taff Cappy then double team Crowbar. But when Chris goes for the pin, Taff Cappy breaks it up. Then Chris takes him out. Chris goes and hits a diving headbutt. Then Taff Cappy breaks up the pin. Taff Cappy hits this horrible jumping DDT. And then he just leaves. And then Crowbar hits a front suplex and pins Chris and this is over. What a clusterfuck here. They keep talking about how everyone's trying to impress Bischoff and Russo. So that's why they kept interrupting the pins. But it was just makes it look so Bush League bullshit, Logan. Like, you have some decent talent in this ring. 4 of the 6 wrestlers. You can figure out who's not the good one. Or I'll say 5 of the 6. But it was just a clusterfuck, Logan. And it, like I said, makes it Bush League, and it's all over the place here.
Yeah, it's a great value version of like what they tried to do back in the day. When opening with like these hot cruiserweight matches. This just isn't the cruiserweight division of old. And half these guys probably really aren't cruiserweights either. Like Crowbar, I don't really think is. I think Candido's being treated as one, but he's not really a cruiserweight in my head. But yeah, they were just trying to, kind of recapture some of that. And there were some cool moves throughout and stuff like that, but very chaotic, kind of hard to follow at certain points with so many people at ringside and just, like you said, partners just constantly going at each other. So, I mean, sadly, probably the match of the night right out of the gate, but that's not saying all that much. But yeah, some entertaining spots, but very chaotic and very just messy and kind of hard to follow at points.
Yeah, it was bad. And then speaking of kind of hard to follow, we go backstage to a Mean Gene interview with DDP. We can't even hear them at the jump. Like, I thought it was me, Logan. I rewound it twice on my tablet and was like, I just can't fucking hear him. But it's DDP says he's going to rip off Jarrett's head. And then he says that the match won't happen tonight between Medusa and Kimberly. And then he says he's going to take out Bam Bam Jersey style, which Sopranos was big during this time. So he's going to whack him. And then we pivot to Harlem Heat is in with Russo and Bischoff, I guess, in their conference room office. Eric makes Big T get up from his chair. And then they say the business tonight is about beating up Sid and taking him out, not the 1, 2, 3. But he said, let's take out Sid tonight. And then we see a video of Ready to Rumble, which is like, and they ask Sting what he thinks of the movie, and he basically buries it, says it's like Beavis and Butthead,
and Wayne's World,
Dumb and Dumber, in Wayne's World. And it's like, highly unlikely there, Real Estate Steve. But
yeah, come on, Steve.
Yeah, just not a good look, buddy. So then we have a commercial break there, and then we see the makeup ladies with Sean Stasiak, and he says he wants the perfect oil, so she gets up and walks away. Kurt Hennig then walks in and attacks Sean, but then security breaks it up. So just a lot going on there, Logan. So now we're on to match 2, which is Harlem Heat versus Sid in a no DQ match. Keep in mind that's no DQ. Sid clotheslines both members of Harlem Heat over, and then Big Cash gets in the ring because Harlem Heat is Big Cash, Big T, and Stevie Ray. A lot of just waste. Then Sid actually kills Cash with a big boot. Like, I think he actually ate that shoe, Logan. It was bad. Then Sid, for some reason, is like yelling at Jay Biggs and tries to choke slam him. But then they beat down Sid. Then Harlem Heat, Big T and Stevie Ray somehow missed the double kick they were trying to do with Sid. It was so bad. It was amazing. Like, so awful it was good type situation. They hit a flapjack on him, and then Cash hits a splash, but then gets a 2. Big's yelling at the ref, but Harlem Heat keeps beating down Sid. Then Booker comes down. And he actually takes out all 3 members of Harlem Heat. Sid then hits a power bomb on Stevie Ray, and it's over. After the match, Wall comes down and he attacks Sid, and like leaves him laying. And we see that Russo and Eric are upset in the back and says, "Damn you, Booker." Bischoff says he'll fix it. We see that Sid's down, like still down in the ring. I guess whatever he got hit with was same thing Hulk Hogan hit the Giant with at Road Wild 96 because he's still down. Bischoff comes down the ring and verifies that Sid's out and is making an executive decision and says, since due to the outside interference, Sid is DQ'd in a no DQ match, Logan, and that Harlem Heat is the winner. And he says that Sid isn't needed for Sunday. So that's what I wanted. I wanted to get through all this before I pass it over to you. This was a literally like 2-minute match, and everything else just took fucking forever. They made Harlem Heat look like goofs. And this is what I had a problem with, Logan. If Booker's supposed to be in the New Blood, I know he's supposed to hate Harlem Heat, but he should be happy that they're beating down someone in the Millionaires Club. So that's why I didn't like this booking. Like, it's not even 2 shows in, and we're already breaking Booker off from the New Blood. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's what frustrates me. Like, this is an entertaining watch. Everything's always happening, so it keeps your mind there. But it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and then, I mean, Stevie and Booker are kind of some of those other guys that, like, I get their newer blood, and they're like newer blood that could be in the, main events and stuff like that. I guess that's the whole point of that name and like what they're supposed to be. But they've been in WCW for a while, since '93. So I mean, they've been there for 7 years. So I don't know how new blood they could be, but I guess it's more about like the main event and the big times and the world champions and kind of stuff like that. But yeah, another match that was kind of more chaos than it was match. Big T looks horrible in this match. Him and Stevie do a couple of double team moves, and they're not on the same page whatsoever, and it looks bad. They do like a double spine buster, and Stevie's like a whole like second ahead of where Big T is at certain points. So just Big T needs to go by the wayside, and I think Bischoff kind of makes fun of him in that backstage segment. Yeah, he looked really bad. And yeah, you're already muddling up these groups by having, Booker kind of attack Harlem Heat. But I mean, obviously they have issues from before, but and you kind of don't want to ignore that, but you kind of should. And if you're going in this direction that you're going in, but hopefully Booker kind of separates himself and he can kind of be his own man and not really be part of either group. But because I think that would probably benefit somebody like him because, especially with the New Blood supposed to be the heels and the Millionaires Club supposed to be the faces, like he doesn't really fit in a situation where he should be a heel right now being one of the newer guys, but he also, isn't a former world champion or hasn't been presented at the top of the card at this point yet. So he's kind of in a weird spot.
Yeah, it's just so bad. And I don't think we see Sid, Logan, I don't know if he returns by the end of this podcast, if I'm being completely honest. Like, me and you have had informal discussions about just continue it to the end of WCW, but I don't think he returns to the end. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the Wall, because it seemed like that was like, they're lining up all these people to feud with each other, and I guess I was going to be his person. So I don't know if he's hurt or Sid it's softball season, so Sid's going to go play softball.
Well, we know he comes back at some point because he fucking annihilates his leg in 2001.
Yes.
I don't know if he comes back right before that or what.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't know if it's October or November, which is after Russo. So, and I've never really found out anything about this, but I'll have to read Observers and see if I can find something. So we take a commercial break. When we come back, we see Jimmy Hart is looking for Eric backstage. And then we see Eric and the New Blood are yelling at Booker in the locker room. Shane Douglas comes out, and we see Shane returning on Monday. Luger's out next, and they talk about Flair and Shane's rivalry. basically like how Shane's been taking pot shots at him in ECW and everything, and Flair's basically just ignored him. So match 3, we got Shane Douglas versus Luger. Luger attacks Shane as he's like doing his routine of ripping off his like swishy pants. So Luger attacks Shane and rubs his head against the rope. Luger chokes Shane with his shirt. They announced DDP versus Bam Bam tonight, so DDP will be wrestling. Luger rubs Shane's head against the rope again. Then Luger hits a clothesline and then a forearm. This gets a 2 count. Luger charges Shane in the corner and eats a big boot. Shane closes Luger and then hits a belly to belly. Shane went on the top rope, but Luger threw him off. I was like, I guess Shane really is taking after Flair. I've never seen Shane go up to the top rope, Logan. But, like, you know, Flair's never hit that either. But there we go. Shane bails out of the ring. Luger follows and throws him in the guardrail. Luger slams Shane in the ring apron. Luger rolls Shane in the ring, and Shane begs off. Luger sends Shane in for an Irish whip. Shane kicks Luger and then goes for a forearm of his own, but it hits the ref because, of course, it does. Luger went to grab Shane, but Shane hits Luger in the nuts. Flair runs out and starts chopping Shane. Flair hits Shane in the nuts too. Luger then racks Shane, and Shane taps as the ref is up by now. So that's the match, Logan. Like, these matches aren't really in there for the work rate, but sets up Luger and Flair. The Millionaires Club got one over on the New Blood. We'll see what will happen with the Buff and Flair match tonight. So, yeah. But I like that Flair's not afraid to hit him in the nuts. So, like, I know I was bitching about heels and faces, but, you know, that was like Flair's big move in the 2000s, just a nut shot.
Yeah, just a good old ball shot. But, yeah, this one's, not there for the work rate for sure. Luger's kind of passes expiration date, as we've talked about. He was pretty entertaining backstage, but these matches just aren't all that great per se. And Shane's kind of the same way. Like I said, Shane's presented as like a new guy, but he's pretty old at this point, and pretty broken down, and has a chronically broke arm, broke foot, broke back, broke pretty much everything. I feel like he was constantly hurt in ECW all those years, and it kind of followed him to WCW. So he's one of those guys that is just like, should he even be wrestling at this point? It's especially funny that he's kind of presented as kind of new age. But the match wasn't anything, but like you said, to kind of have Flair actually get one over on the new guys. So, not a great match, but just to kind of push along the feud. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, definitely. We already know who's going to be in the finals, Logan. And it's going to be Luger and Team Package versus Shane and Buff. Talk about a real weird tag team, but they got to do something with them. So then we go backstage, and Jimmy finds Eric and asks him why he did that to Hulk. Eric just mocks him and walks away. So then we have a commercial break, and then Tony says during the commercial break that Russo was irate because Flair interfered, and he tells the announce team to tell Luger if there's any interference by Luger, there would be suspensions of both members of Total Package for 6 months with no pay. Tony hypes up Spring Stampede as best he can. It's like, everything's changing. We'll have new champions. And then he talks about Hulk Hogan and what happened to him on Monday, and they had a camera inside the limo magically, and we see the camera getting destroyed when the Hummer ran into it. And he says that Hulk Hogan has head trauma, cracked ribs, and internal bleeding. Says Hogan will be hospitalized for 2 weeks. So he's not at Spring Stampede. Jimmy Hartland comes out. He gets on the mic and says he needs answers from Eric, who he calls Eric out. He said he needs to know why he did what he did to Hogan on Nitro. Out comes Eric and Billy. Eric talks to Billy on the ramp, and Billy just runs down, starts beating the ever-loving shit out of Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart actually does not fight back. I was expecting Jimmy Hart to, like, whoop his ass a little bit, Logan, because that's how we're doing. Billy then spray paints NB on Jimmy. Yeah, I know, right? So I was just like, okay. So then we have, let me see, Kimberly getting ready, and DDP says he's not going to let Kimberly wrestle tonight. Kim says she's going to step up, and DDP says she's hurt, and Kim says DDP needs to support her. So we get some marital strife, Logan. So I guess, it's
casual.
We'll see what, if anything, comes of this. Yeah, it's casual. But what did you think of, Hogan's out for 2 weeks, which we're fine with. Billy Kidman beating up Jimmy Hart because they're the same height, and this DDP and Kim issue.
Yeah, the DDP and Kim thing seems kind of forced. She was back for the um, Buff feud and all the stuff that happened with that. But yeah, I mean, it seems kind of forced in the grand scheme of things, like just having strife for strife's sake, pretty much. And yeah, it continues to kind of push Kidman as one of the leaders of the new blood, kind of coming and taking out Hogan's manager after him. Um, after they took out Hogan on Nitro, so to go after his kind of best friend, manager kind of guy, was a pretty smart move, and to kind of take him out as well. So it'll give Hogan some fire to come back with. Not that he really needed it. He was probably already going to be pretty pissed at Bischoff and Kidman coming back, but it just builds a little bit more to that. So. Not a bad little segment, but yeah, Kidman being pretty much like the same size as him is kind of funny. But I continue to like Kidman and kind of how they're presenting him so far.
Yeah, I wish he'd get a little bit more offense on Hogan, but he's looking like a smarmy little piece of shit. So, which is nice. Speaking of pieces of shit, Logan, we got this thing called a Colorado Collision match. I will give it to Russo. He has a way with names. For the Hard Way, which we really liked. Triple Threat Theater, which we also liked. So we got the Colorado Collision match, which is all 6 men that's in the U.S. title match. It's basically a scramble match where 2 men start, and then a new person enters 1 minute intervals, and you could be eliminated by pin, count out, or DQ. Last man standing wins. You'd figure we got 6 men here. Let's take out the rest of the show. Wrong. This thing goes like 6 minutes. Not even that, maybe. So, so the people in it are Booker, Wall, Cat, Billy Kidman, Scott Steiner, and Vampiro. Booker and Wall start off. Wall brings a table, which should lead to a DQ. He puts on the outside of the ring. Wall slides in, and Booker starts punching him. Wall then dodges a punch, starts beating down Booker himself. Wall charges Booker and eats a boot in the corner. Booker hits the Harlem sidekick, and then the bookend, then an axe kick. Booker clotheslines Wall out of the ring, and Cat's in next. But Cat hits a stiff sidekick on Booker, and it knocks him out of the ring. Wall then chokeslams Booker through the table. And I guess this takes out the Wall too, because all that pressure just knocked him out, and they are both counted out. Cat gets on the mic and says he's the number 1 man in WCW. Then he calls the fans rednecks and starts dancing. Out comes Scott Steiner, and he destroys Cat, who was dancing. He rips off his shoes and throws them at Cat. He rips off the Cat shoes and throws it at him, which I thought was funny. Cat ducks a clothesline and actually hits a super kick. Cat's getting in more offense than I thought, Logan. Cat hits an elbow drop, and then out next is Billy Kidman. Him and Tori take their sweet-ass time getting to the ring. Scott has belly-to-belly. Belly slams the Cat. Hits a belly-to-belly on the Cat, and then he poses in the corner, and Billy pins the Cat. This pisses off Scott, who then beats him down, and then Scott pins Billy with a belly-to-belly. Out comes Vampiro, but Sting runs down and hits a Scorpion death drop on Vampiro, and then Scott puts Vampiro in the Steiner recliner, and Vampiro taps. Pure logical booking here. They made Scott look good, and they made Billy look like a fucking goof, and everyone else look like they can't fight at all, because, like I said, this 6-man match with different intervals maybe went 6 minutes, guys. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Went 5:32 if you're wondering how long it went.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this was terrible. You beat Kidman for no apparent reason whatsoever. Which, I was just saying how I was enjoying his booking so far. This does not fit into that category. Terrible. If Kidman's supposed to be one of the top kind of guys in that new blood, you immediately kind of kill him here. You kill Vampiro pretty much here by having him lose. I mean, Steiner's a big deal, and Scott Steiner, Steiner's supposed to be one of the leaders too, but like having all these guys get basically beaten down and dominated by Scott Steiner is probably not the best idea. I could have seen this as maybe a way to have Booker be punished, having to go through all these guys or something like that. But yeah, this is the most illogically booked thing I think I've probably ever seen.
Yeah, you could be like, you know what, Booker, since you did that, you're not in the U.S. tournament. Just take him out.
Yeah,
take him out. And like then he's pissed at that, and he like interferes here or on Sunday or something. But no, like this is dumb. So then we see Medusa walking, and then we see Kimberly walking, and she says, "Hey Eric, this one's for you." We'll say Kimberly looks very nice. We get a commercial break, and then we get to see team package backstage. Gene says if Luger comes out, both will be suspended for 6 months without pay. Luger's like, I know it sucks, pretty much, but then Flair says Russo learned to love it, pal. And Flair says he's Mickey Mantle in Russo's lifetime. So then we go back to the ring, and Medusa's out first. Kimberly's out next. The match starts, and they face each other, and it's awkward. They both talk trash, and Medusa tells her to go to the back. Kimberly pushes her, and Medusa pushes her in the corner. You see DDP watching in the back. Medusa grabs Kimberly by the hair and rubs her face on the mat. DDP runs in, and he pushes Medusa off Kimberly. Medusa kicks DDP, and then DDP grabs Medusa and hits a diamond cutter. Somehow this match ends in a DQ despite everyone else interfering in all these matches. Kimberly is pissed. So this just adds more to the drama of this spousal fucking anger with each other, Logan. This is just a nothing match. I thought they would have made this the main event, but obviously maybe DDP and Bam Bam will be the main event.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just another pretty much nothing match. Yeah, Kimberly did look amazing, I would say. And Medusa looked ridiculous as always. But yeah, just basically just something to put over, again, the kind of strife between DDP and Kimberly, him not wanting her to be out there. But yeah, nothing much going on here. Not too much to say either. So, but yeah, probably something that didn't need to happen. But obviously it's just trying to push, again, like some conflict between the face challenger for the world title.
Yeah, and for no reason, because everyone knows him and Kimberly have been married for years. And, like, they brought it up. Like, I'm in my 97 rewatch, and, like, it's brought up with, like, the Savage feud. So it's like, why even, just have that she's here. So this leads us to match 6. Which, remember how I talked about earlier how they were going to tell the story of the hardcore title and how that's going to be made? This is it. We got a hardcore triple threat tag team match where the winning team will face each other for the hardcore title on Sunday. The teams are Knobbs and Finlay versus Ming and Hugh Morris versus Terry Funk and Norman Smiley. Tony hypes up the pay-per-view with what's going to happen next. It's like, I don't know, man. Shit's crazy. So, so Ming and Knob, like, this match is all over the place, guys. I try to do it as best I can. It literally, like, all 6 men, as soon as the match starts, break off to, like, groups of fucking 2, and one goes in the aisleway, one goes to the concourse, and one stays in the fucking ring. So they pan back and forth between all this. They claim that refs were, I think some refs were, there's 2 refs involved in this match, not 3. So Ming and Knobbs battle to the crowd. Hugh and Norman Smiley battle in the aisleway. Hugh actually gets a table. We get back to the ring, and Funk's fighting Finlay. Hugh Morris killed himself with a jump off of the stage, and Norman moved. It's not that far of a drop, but he hits his stomach on the side of the table, and the table does not break, Logan. That looked painful as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
brutal.
I was just like, God damn, that looked like it hurt. And then he it didn't look good. So then we see Ming and Knobbs fighting in the concourse. They hit each other with trash. Knobbs puts up a pizza tray after he takes a bite out of pizza and hits Ming with it. Then Ming throws Knobbs on the condiment table. And then there's, for some reason, in the middle of all these fucking fans, there's a Goldberg cutout. And Ming tackles it, so I guess he thought it was Goldberg. And then Ming hits Knobbs with the said Goldberg cutout. And then they were on the concourse on the outside, I guess where you could go down and exit. Anyway, Ming throws Knobbs off the concourse on the outside. And I think this is the last time we see Brian Knobbs on WCW TV, Logan. It was him fucking doing this fall like the Giant in Halloween Havoc 95. Just never see him again. So I'm pretty sure, I mean, he may be back in 2 episodes. We'll never know. But so we go back to Hugh and Norman. They're battling backstage, and like I guess it's like a minor league hockey team. And like it looked like a Nashville Predators thing, but it's obviously not. So it's probably like Colorado Springs Predators, and like they actually break that whatever it was. It was like a saber or something, saber tooth, Logan. So that's more money WCW had to pay. So then we go back to Funk and Finley. Tony says there was a 30-foot drop for Brian Knobbs. So Knobbs is dead, guys. Like 30-foot drop. He's fucking dead, man. He's fucking dead. So like
he's not
RIP Knobbs
dead.
hole. Yeah. So then like we go backstage and Hugh slams Norman and he's screaming. We got Finley beating down Terry Funk with a chair. Norman takes out Hugh. And then we go back to the ring and Finley DDTs Terry Funk on the concrete. Finley then puts Funk in the ring, puts a table in the ring, but Funk throws Finley through the table. Funk pile drives Finley on the broken table in a nice spot. Dustin Rhodes comes down and beats down Funk. Oh my God, I forgot about this ending, Logan. Then Dustin and Finley are about beating down Funk. Norman makes it back to the ring while Dustin and Finley are trying to get more plunder on the outside and just decides he's going to pin Funk. The ref fucking counts 3. So Norman pinned his tag team partner and somehow Norman and Funk win. My note here says, what the fuck? Illogical ending. Like, why couldn't Finley take the loss? Like, no offense. Like, it's fucking fit Finley. Like, he can lose fucking Terry Funk or Norman Smiley. I've seen him lose to fucking Norman Smiley. Like, why are we doing like this thing where like he's like, oh, it pins him, and it's like it's fucking stupid. What they should have done is go find the fucking carcass of Brian Knobbs and go fucking pin that because we can count to 3,003 on that one, Logan.
Yep. Yeah, you could have counted forever. And you are correct. This is actually his last appearance in WCW, or at least his last match. I'll say that. He does have a couple of house show appearances after this. Honestly, later, like the week of this show, and maybe early into the next week. But he is done as of this Thunder. I mean, he obviously wrestles in like TNA and a couple of other, organizations after this, but yeah, this is his last WCW appearance on TV at least. So, but yeah,
what a way to go out.
Yeah, no kidding. I guess it was a somewhat good write-off, but, or an interesting one at least. But yeah, I mean, this match was just, it was really hard to follow, honestly. It honestly just seemed like kind of a brawl and a fight that wasn't really even a match. It was just kind of 3 separate brawls kind of going all at once. Norman's probably smart for pinning his own partner because it gets them the win at the same time as it gives them the loss, I guess. So it's super dumb booking for sure, but maybe a smart move to make sure that they get the win at the same time.
No, it's dumb booking, Logan. It's a logical.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, just real super chaotic. Maybe a little bit more in the vein of the WWE version of the hardcore division. This kind of had a little bit more of that feel because it was kind of all over the place, a lot of weapons involved. So maybe not bad in execution, but the finish and like you said, is just absolutely illogical in every way possible. And RIP Brian Knobbs.
Yeah, like it's like, what are we doing?
This match goes 7 minutes, by the way, and as opposed to the gauntlet, eliminator thing we had earlier that went 5 minutes.
Somehow we both had 6 wrestlers. I my brain hurts after that. Jesus Christ. And we haven't even got to the dumbs WCW stuff yet that's during the summer, guys. Yeah. So
I have a feeling Thunder is going to be pretty bad over the next month or so.
It feels like it now, Logan. So Eric and Vince are talking to the Vianos. Eric says to hurt the man, and then Eric says, anything, Russo, you want to say? And he's like, I'm going to speak Spanish for you, and says, beat Sting to a bloody pulp. All of this was in English, guys. I don't know. Tony says Sting has to beat all 3 Vianos to go to Spring Stampede. So this leads us to match 7, which is Vianos versus Sting. All 3 Vianos are in the ring. Sting comes down. They beat him. They beat down Sting. They do a triple headbutt. Then I say that Sting's up and he takes down all three, hits a double clothesline on 2. Then he hits a double Scorpion Death Drop and pins 2 just like that. So now we got Sting versus one of the Villanos. Then we get a ref bump because of course. And then Sting takes a headbutt to the nuts. Then Villano gets out of the ring, grabs his Jarrett guitar, and he hits Sting. Then he takes off his mask, and it's Villano Jarrett. DDP runs down and hits a diamond cutter. He puts Sting on top of Villano Jarrett, and Sting wins. Oh my god, that's killing me. This was a nothing match. Like, I know the Villanos were jobbers, but goddamn, like, just Sting just. I mean, it was just an ass whooping.
Yeah, he really gave it to the actual Villanos and kicked their ass pretty easily and quickly. I mean, Sting probably should, but and yeah, then Jarrett obviously gets involved. He actually had the night off, so he actually made himself work for no apparent reason. They actually gave him the night off, so stupid by Jarrett there, honestly. But yeah, just another kind of a whatever match. Obviously, just to kind of push Sting as one of the leaders of like the Millionaires Club and somebody to probably watch out for going after the new blood and stuff like that. But yeah, not much.
Which it makes sense because Sting is, called the franchise of WCW. So obviously, if you didn't want to do Flair and Shane, you could have done Shane versus Sting as like the franchise title. So like, I wouldn't have been too mad with that. But so we go to commercial break and we got Mean Gene with Jeff. Jeff tells Mean Gene better not be a wise ass or he'll knock his liver spots off, which made me laugh. Jeff calls out DDP and oh, it was amazing. I had to pause it. I was laughing so hard. I was not expecting him to say that. So Jeff calls out DDP and David Arquette. DDP for the match on Sunday and David for what happened at the Ready to Rumble premiere where David Arquette hit Jeff with a guitar, as we've seen. Jeff said he will serve a double dose of payback, and then he'll win in 4 days. He'll win the world title. Then we see David Arquette mugging for the camera, and Tony says DDP and David Arquette are friends from meeting each other during the filming of Ready to Rumble. And then Buff is out next. Flair's out next. Flair's just in a slacks and a shirt, which we're going to see Flair dressed like this a lot, but Tony tries to cover it for him by says he's there for a flight, and that's why he's dressed like that. At this time, I believe Flair said he didn't like his body. We see that a lot in the next year when Flair's wrestling. He has a shirt on, which, I feel that just brings attention to the problem with that. Yeah. But that's just me personally. So we get a collar and elbow tie up. Flair chops Buff in the corner and then an Irish whip. But Buff reverses. Buff hits 3 clotheslines and peppers him with punches. The ref makes him stop. Buff punches Flair in the corner. Buff slams Flair's head in the corner, and Flair fights back. And he chops Buff once, but Buff takes him down with just a punch. It was a fucking heavy punch. Even Tony was like, damn. So, yeah, he takes him down with the punch. Buff picks up Flair, but Flair kicks him in the nuts. See, I told you that was one of the special moves in the 2000s. And he hits an elbow drop. Flair starts kicking Buff in the corner, and they make their way outside of the ring. Flair slams Buff into the guardrail, and a fan that's dressed up like Sting attacks Flair with a baseball bat. Spoiler alert, it's Vince Russo. He hits Flair with the bat. The franchise runs down, and all 3 are beating down Flair. The bell rings, so then Luger runs in for the save. And then Buff hits Luger with the bat, and we get a New Blood beatdown on Team Package. I guess Russo really is the Batman, Logan, because that's what he was talking about. So, yeah, so it's so we go to commercial break and we see highlights what just happened. So, Buff and Flair, I don't know if they've had many matches together, but we knew it was gonna be short and sweet. And we had seen some guy dressed as Sting with Arquette the second time they showed him before the Jarrett stuff. So I think that was a very nice thing because like I wasn't expecting that. Like I was like, why is he going over near David Arquette? And then Russo brains Flair with the fucking bat. But yeah, they're heating up the finals. They should have just made it Team Package for Shane and Buff. They didn't have to add the Mama Lukes in.
Yeah, they didn't need to prolong the inevitable. They could have made it one less match on Spring Stampede's card for sure. So, but yeah, this is all about, obviously Russo coming out with the bat and knocking Flair around. But, like you said, Ric Flair busts out his special low blow move that he pulls out in this era a lot. And he does it right in front of the ref and gets away with it. So, whatever. But yeah, this is all about Russo and Flair. I think he's just going to keep throwing people at Flair, and just continuing to try to destroy him. But he's going to just throw person after person kind of at him to finally take him out. So that's clearly the feud that they're going with, kind of Russo versus Flair, without Russo being able to get in the ring himself.
We take a commercial break after that. We see highlights of what just happened, and then Bam Bam is out now. We see what happened earlier for this match to happen. DDP music hits, and Kimberly comes out first, looking amazing. I think she's had 3 wardrobe changes tonight, Logan. DDP comes out next. So this match starts with a collar and elbow tie-up. Then Bam Bam punches DDP in the corner. DDP does this cool little pull himself up, and he punches Bam Bam. Then DDP hits a clothesline. DDP goes up top and hits a clothesline, but gets 2. Bam Bam hits a Samoan drop and gets a 1 count. Bam Bam starts working over DDP's back. He actually gets him in the Steiner recliner, and but then DDP gets out of it. Bam Bam goes up top, hits a diving headbutt to DDP's back. Tony and them are talking about how Bam Bam might be a hired mercenary to work on DDP's back before Sunday, which is a pretty good idea. Definitely Russo did not think of that on his own. Bam Bam then tried to powerbomb DDP, but DDP fights out of it by punching him and falls on him. DDP hits a swinging net breaker and gets a 2. It's 2,000, so we get a ref bump, and then Bam Bam takes out DDP. This causes DDP to go up top again, but he misses a headbutt. DDP goes for a diamond cutter where Bam Bam reverses, and he goes for the greens from Asbury Park. DDP reverses out of that, hits a diamond cutter, and goes to pin Bam Bam. But Bischoff slides in and does the fake count of 1, 2. He does because DDP thought the ref was up. DDP looks up and sees that it's Eric. Jeff comes in and hits DDP with a guitar. David Arquette runs into the ring and attacks Eric. Jeff throws David out of the ring. Jeff then goes on the outside, starts beating up David on the outside and throws him back in the ring, and he hits the stroke on David. Canyon comes down, who last we saw was Champagne Chris Canyon, and he fights Jeff Jarrett. So, they're showing that DDP has friends, and this is actually someone who I think would be better than in the Millionaire Club instead of being DDP's little buddy, Logan. But we'll watch this play out. He comes down and he fights Jeff Jarrett. Bischoff slides in and hits Canyon with a chair. Somehow 5 people are down in the ring right now. Bam Bam, Canyon, David Arquette, DDP, and the ref. The show ends with Jeff celebrating. The New Blood then run in and they spray paint DDP, and they continue beating down Canyon and Arquette. Whew, Logan, that was quite an ending. It was a hot ending, I will say that. I think it elevates Canyon immediately in this because Chris Champagne Canyon really wasn't going anywhere, in my opinion. So very interesting. It sadly does throw in David Arquette, which we know what this leads to. If you're here, you know what this leads to. But they can't all be winners. So and honestly, I can't remember who wins on Sunday, and I could really see it going either way with Jeff Jarrett or DDP. I know Jeff does end up being world champion like 5 times somehow just over the summer. So we're going to be interested to see where it goes. What did you think of this match? I did like how they countered the diamond cutter to Greetings to Asbury Park to him finally hitting the diamond cutter. I thought that was very nice.
Yeah, that was a really cool transition that they did in that move for sure. Yeah, I mean, a match that probably could have been pretty solid if it had gone a little bit longer, but obviously that's kind of not what Russo does. So we're not going to get too many of those. And, I'm kind of used to it. I'm kind of numb to that at this point. So, but solid for what it was. Yeah, Canyon's another one of those guys. He's kind of in that Booker role where, he hadn't been around, I guess I guess if you count the Mortis run, he's been around since 96 or 97. I can't remember exactly when he comes in, but he's been around for a little bit, but he's almost one of those guys that needs to exist outside of both groups because he's not really a Millionaires Club kind of guy, but he's also still new, but not as new as some of the other guys. But yeah, he's a guy that could be pushed separately. I feel like somehow, in a third group that could exist. But yeah, he's somebody that's super entertaining, super super talented. Probably never got his due, and obviously he's not around anymore. But he's a guy that was really innovative and could have done a lot of good stuff if they had put him in the right position. So it seems, as for tonight, they've done something good with him, but we'll see where he kind of goes from here.
Yeah, it's sad what happens to him. Suicide's a whole other thing, and this definitely podcast is not equipped enough to talk about that. But I think if he would have been around now, Logan, like he would be like, especially like older, he would probably be like an agent or something for AEW or hell, even WWE now, or TNA or something, NXT. They called him the innovator of offense for a reason. So I almost called him the innovator of violence. That's Tommy Dreamer. But no, it was good. It was a hot ending. Like we know, sadly, like I think it's like skewed because where the David Arquette shit goes. I'd much rather have David Flair be world champion than David Arquette. But I will say,
how dare you?
I know that's bad of me. I will say there's a documentary that David Arquette did that came out in 2020, where he talked about him doing wrestling again, called "You Cannot Kill David Arquette," and I watched it. Thought it was amazing. I know it's more geared towards wrestling, but like he talks about when he became world champ and everything. So
covered on
a very good watch. I think it's
Squared Circle, the Silver Screen back in the day on the North South Connection. Me and Roger talked about that.
Yeah, yes, it was. Yes, it was, because I watched it and then like the podcast dropped and I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, some other people actually watch this podcast. So it's on Amazon Prime, I'm pretty sure. But looking back, 11 years old, I would have been begging my parents if I was watching WCW at this time to order the Spring Stampede. I've been like, all the titles are vacant. What are we going to do? Just for that.
All new champions.
Yeah. And my parents would have been like, calm down. But no, very fun ending. Besides the illogical booking, which, you can drive a white Hummer through these plot holes. But it does make me want to tune in, Logan, which I don't know if that's because I hate myself or what, but it does make me want to tune in. And whatever is bad, it's off the screen so quick, it's not even funny. Like that match, like you said, went 5:37. So I'm interested to see what happens on Sunday, which we'll cover in 2 weeks on our next episode here. But any last parting comments before I get us out of here?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, kind of not really any great matches tonight. That Cruiser match was interesting and kind of entertaining for what it was. The hardcore match was kind of chaotic and crazy for what it was, but had the stupid ending. But yeah, I'm still interested. Still, obviously, want to watch Spring Stampede. All the new champions that we'll have. Kind of see where we're going forward from there. So I'm definitely still invested. We'll see. We'll see how that works out after Spring Stampede, but I'm definitely interested in seeing how that show is that we'll cover next time. So I'm still in for now. We'll see in about 2 or 3 episodes whether I still feel that
way. Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see when the wheels really go off on this. Like, we're starting to get a little wobbly right now, Logan, but that's what I've been looking forward to ever since I started this podcast. I know it took us 32 episodes. I could have just cheated and went straight to this, but I wanted to get I think it would have felt better us getting the background of this. I mean, like I said, it's been 32 episodes. Like, we do 2 a month. That's shit. We've been doing this over a year, Logan. That's insane. All right, but that brings an end to another episode here of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? For Scott Shufflett, he's Logan Crossland. Be positive, everyone.